Hi, folks. Thank you for joining us in here with the Farming with Families panel. We're really excited to have these amazing farmers up here representing their operations and how they work with their families. You'll notice that some of these folks are different from the folks you may have originally seen in the program. We're really grateful for Maggie and for Paul for stepping up. We had a few folks who couldn't get here because of the weather. There's so many amazing farming families across the state, so we just had an abundance of incredible people to choose from, and thank you all for stepping up, and thanks for Jessica for getting here. We have Hannah Crabtree here today. She'll be moderating this session for us. So just before we get started, real quick, a few things. We will be using Slido, which we just used this in the opening, the Women in Farming panel. But if you use this QR code and select the Room Farming with Families panel, you can write a question in there. And at the end, Hannah will be going through those and bringing out some of the audience questions. And if you need help with Slido, just raise your hand and I'll come help you either enter the question for you in my phone or help you get to it on yours. So just let me know. I think we're ready to get started. So Hannah, I'll pass it to you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay? This level? Thank you. Okay, I'm so happy to be here with you today. I did want to start just sort of with a little bit of a disclaimer, which is also some of these people just found out they're going to be here. We really want to keep this pretty conversational, everyone sharing their stories, and please do utilize Slido because I would love to hear what you all want us to talk about a little bit, and that will help me guide because, yeah, I'm meeting some of these people like for the first time. So some of my questions don't apply anymore. So yeah, this is something I've been wanting to have an Oak panel about for a while because I'm someone who's spent a lot of time in the hallways breastfeeding a child or chasing toddlers and missing out on a lot of these panels because of having children on my farm. So I'm excited to have this conversation. I'm excited to have Paul here, but I also want to make sure you feel included in this. We're sharing our stories from our perspective, but I want to include anyone who's doing the work of parenting, not just mothering, anyone who's doing relational work with a family member on their farm. I want you to feel included in this, but we will be obviously sharing our experiences and sharing them from a place of just what worked for us or what didn't, not in any way to be like a how-to. This is not a how-to parent or a how-to farm with kids. It's just a space to share our stories. So I'll introduce myself really quick. I'm Hannah Crabtree. I've been farming since 2011 with my husband. We own Rough Draft Farm. It's a small mixed vegetable market garden style farm about 6 miles from here in Lawrenceburg, so not very far away. And I have 2 kids further in Ellis who are 7 and 11. So we're going to go down and just do a quick introductory, what your farm is like and how you have family involved in your farm.
Hi, my name's Maggie. I farm with my mom. We have a half-acre organic vegetable farm outside of Berea called Wolf Gap Gardens. I do not have any children. My family with farming is more on my mom's in her 70s, and we started about 7 years ago. So it's kind of the other side of the family farm, the elder care. And originally my mom wanted to start the farm to give a place for her mom to be at the end of her life. So I'm more on that side if anybody has those kinds of questions.
Hi, I'm Jessica Lopez. So I'm one of the originals that was supposed to be here. So we have a sustainable farm here in Franklin County. We're probably 7 miles from this very location. I'm typically the KSU person that's here all the time, as Jim Coltman knows. So I am a mom. We have 4, just full disclosure. I have all teenagers. We've been farming, I guess we've been doing it for 13 years. So I have triplets that are 16, and then I have a 14-year-old. So my house is a lot of fun right now. So I told them today that if their ears are burning, Mama's talking crap about you today. So yes, we have a small farm, probably as small as you can get right now. We raise 100% as of this year. We raise our own meat. We do our own beef, we do sheep, we do goats, chicken, rabbit. We have aquaponics, so we do our own tilapia. So we produce all of our own meat. We do have a vegetable production as well, but just to bring everything to Spectrum here, I couldn't do it all if I didn't have these children. So if you have questions during this and after all these other questions, I've been doing it for a minute.
I'm Paul Dengel, my wife and my children up here. Y'all want to raise your hands? Hans and Charlie. We run Good Times Organic Farm in Williamsburg, Kentucky. We do mixed vegetables on about quarter to half acre, and we also do pastured poultry, not certified organic, but pastured and non-GMO. Let's see what else. I forgot where I was going with that. We sell to local restaurants. We go to the Knoxville Farmers Market and to the Corbin Farmers Market. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I covered it. I feel like there's more I was going to say about that, but am I forgetting anything? All right, well, that's kind of us.
All right. One of the first questions I was going to ask, and I feel like maybe you can all answer this, but maybe Paul can start, is thinking about work-life balance. And that's obviously fraught on a farm in general. I feel like farms and work and life all kind of go together. But then also, how does that work with children or with multiple people working together and balancing your work, your life, how those things intermingle, and maybe with people with children, how that has changed from when they were younger as they're older. How do you balance that? Or do you? Or are you working on it? And we can go all the way down or all the way down. Yeah.
Well, I guess in my intro, I should have mentioned that I also work for USDA Rural Development, and my wife is a community arts agent for the University of Kentucky in Extension. So we both have full-time jobs, and then we farm on the side and parent as well. So, and another thing is, we live in Williamsburg. If anybody knows where that, our farm is about 6 miles from the Tennessee border. But most of our life happens in Corbin. I work in London, so we spend a lot of time on the road. The kids are in soccer, different sports, just always, it's just go, go, go. So finding balance, we struggle to do that. I think a lot of farmers know that and feel that whether or not you have kids. It's just what is it, the Pareto principle or something like that? A task will expand to fill the time allotted, so you're just always just trying to cram as much stuff in as you can and just hoping you don't drop the ball on anything. But yeah, work-life balance. We're doing better, but I think, so we've been doing this for how many years? Charlie's 10, so 11 years. This is our 11th season, I think. And so for the first 3-4 years, I was an extension agent. I was the horticulture agent for Whitley County. And then Hans came along and paying for childcare and doing everything like that. We were like, something's got to give. So I quit, and I was a full-time dad and farmer for 3 years. And I realized that you can't be, it's really hard to be good at both at the same time. I was constantly, either I was trying to be a good farmer, but then I was being a bad dad, or I was trying to be a good dad and just being a bad farmer. And it's really hard to be good at both simultaneously. So yeah, I don't know if I'm really answering the question as far as work-life balance. It's hard, but I think at some point you got to make decisions like, okay, can I keep working full-time? No, something's got to give. And at one point, we were both working on our masters, had 2 kids, both working full-time, both farming. And slowly, I graduated, and then she graduated, and then I left my job. And these things, you slowly pull things off your plate until you're like, okay, I'm somewhat feeling better about things. So, Yeah, just learning what you can manage and what you can't. I don't know, that's just kind of a ramble, but yeah, it's hard to work-life balance. I'll pass the mic.
So my scenario is a little different. So I am the full-time mom. I'm the full-time farmer. My husband does work off property. He's the bread maker there. Honestly, for me and my family, it's a joy. I mean, my enjoyable time is at home with my children, and I'm very, very hands-on when it comes to farming and the children. So we always do it together. Being that we've done it for so long, and since we dabble in so many different things, building with the children the curiosity and the willing to learn, and I want to learn, keeps us on our toes all the time. But it's fun. It's so much fun. Like, I cannot, I mean, there are some downtimes. I mean, I do want to pull my hair out a lot because it is a house full of teenagers, and that sucks. But when it is good, it's amazing. Like, I'm so glad of where my life is at this moment in time with a house full of teenagers. They're so hands-on. They're just amazing human beings. And if you give these children the opportunity to dabble in all these little things, then you'll see, oh, well, they like that better, so let's go that way. Or if you see that, oh, well, you have to force them to do one thing, yeah, let's not do that, because I'm not going to fight with you every day, 24 hours a day. Like, we pick and choose our battles. But as for the whole doing the difference and balancing your full-time job and your family life, like, mine's together. It's together. That's just how we are. We do everything together. We didn't have the issue of finding childcare because I was at home. Like, this is my career. My career is being that mom, being the farmer, teaching the kids the way of the land and how to do, ultimately not to ask for help, which I'm really, really, really guilty of that. I'm really bad about asking for help. It's either I figure it out or it don't happen. So teaching that to my children has been our biggest struggle. So I'm trying to get them better at, it's okay to ask for help, but learn to do it yourself too. So I guess that would be the downfall on that. But we have a different situation just because that's my career. I'm at home, I'm with the children. That's just the way I choose to live our life there, so.
Yeah, again, I don't have kids, but I guess my work-life balance is very different as an adult child working with, like, my mom. The first couple of years, it was really hard to separate. My partner and I lived, like, on their land, very close to them, and it was, like, all about the farm all the time. And, like, creating a working relationship when you've always had this, like, long relationship with your parents it was very difficult to, like, separate that out. Moving away from the farm really helped, like, give us some space, like, allowed us to have that working relationship when we were on the farm, and then our normal, like, mother-daughter relationship kind of the other times when we weren't so close in proximity all the time. Yeah, but it was definitely, like, a challenge, developing a new relationship with your parent as, like, an adult child. And trying to separate the relationships you've always had and not, you can butt heads with your parents quite often as adults, I know. But luckily, Mom and I are very lucky to have a good relationship and be able to make the farm work, so.
I'll share a quick 2 cents of my own perspective of work-life balance. That's something that worked really well for me when my youngest was like 6 months old. We hired on, like, a babysitter to come 2 days a week to our farm, and she would be there during the day and give me 2, like, full days to be back at work on the farm, but also my baby was still there, like, around me, because there is such a tension of wanting to be with your kids all the time and wanting them to grow up on a farm, but also with that comes, for me, gave up a lot of what I loved about working on the farm, and it is impossible to kind of do both well, it felt like. And that was, like, a great space of a little bit of balance of that when I was feeling a loss of self, a loss of what I used to be before I had kids. That was like a beautiful balance for me. And it was also, it's hard when you have expectations. Like for me, I told Paul, like it felt a little bit like a failure at first to not just be out there with the baby on my back, which is so dumb. But we have these ideas of like, what is a good farmer? What is a good farmer parent? And I think hearing other people's perspectives or like thinking outside of the box of what you think it's going to be like or what it has to be like is really helpful, because having my mental health of having a full day on the farm was so helpful to me. Obviously that's what worked for me, but I just thought I'd share that. I would like to talk about, okay, so Madeline, who was supposed to be here, I wanted her perspective because she's somebody I watched grow up like as a child on a farm who then decided to keep working on the farm with her parents, which I think is magical, and I think maybe secretly or not secretly we all would love for our kids to just keep doing the work. But there's the tension of wanting them to do the work but not wanting to make them hate it from a young age by forcing them to do too much on the farm. So I guess maybe not for you, but I'm sorry. I have a question for you. What is that balance for you? Like how much what are their chores like? What is the work? Do you think about that? Or, how are you thinking of those things with your kids?
So for my herd of children, we have, again, so many different varieties of our protein. So we do give them the opportunity, well, what do you want to take care of? So we have 4 of them, so therefore they all have to pick and choose. So each kid has their own dog that they're responsible for. One kid is the only one that likes cats, so she's in charge of cats. So then we have the other child, she likes goats. So she actually, which is something else that if you all want to know later, there was an opportunity for her to win goats. Well, she won the goats and she won 6 goats. So we got into goats really quick. Well, that's her chore. Your chore is your goats. Then we've got the triplet boy wants to be anti-farm, so I do deal with that when he officially moves out, he does not want any animal whatsoever, which is okay, but as long as you live here, you still have a job to do. So he chose the cows, so that's his responsibility. He's responsible for the cows or what other animal is with the cows. So since we do rotational grazing, whatever buck or ram is in the field with the cows, he's in charge of those. So he's in charge of cow fields. So then we've got the youngest child. He's 14. He's very everywhere. We're given, you're in charge of chickens. That's you. You're chickens, whether you want to be in charge of chickens or not. So he just does his thing. He takes care of the chickens. So he does it. And again, they do get rewarded for doing the task that they do. And then the other girl, she's in charge of feeding the fish when that's going for the tilapia. And then she also is in charge of our rabbits. So everyone has their own group of things to do for their chores. And I'm almost that drill sergeant mom. It's up, out, come back, out, I'm really strict on scheduling. And being that I had triplets and another one, schedules and calendars are my jam. I love calendars. I love calendars so much. I have like 7 calendars in my house. I can sit in one spot in my house and I can see every single thing. I'm like, okay, that's just my thing. I also homeschool, so therefore education is another one of my jams. I love education, and whether or not I know it or not, I'm willing to learn with them. So that really, really, really helps. I always am looking for opportunities for myself to learn, but also in turn do that for the kids. That also is what got us into cows. There was another essay contest and they won and they got a cow. So So a lot of our animals kind of fell in our lap. So, and it's also created them the opportunities to care for these animals, to learn about these animals. And not only doing that with my group, it has brought another light into their life of they actually kind of like teaching other people about what we're doing, about the things that we do. So one of the girls that won the cow, which 2 girls, 2 essays, they couldn't pick between the 2, so they just gave 1 cow to both of them, and it was a dairy cow. So she goes and she helps me milk the cow, so therefore she's my baker in the family. Well, that baker has figured out how to do butter. She's learned how to do buttermilk. Well, guess what? She now bakes with that. So now her entire process of what do I want to be when I grow up, it's a baker that produces her own food and can incorporate it into her baking or her cooking or whatever she decides to do. And then we've got the daughter that won the goats. She, in turn, we do a lot of things with our goats. It's fit to my nose. We got this specific breed that we got because of what they can also in turn give us. So we do European mounts, we do tanning of hides, we produce meat, and then we also collectively have bone things that we do. Well, that has turned into something that she's very interested in. So in turn, she helps do European mounts on all these skulls. She does the tanning with the hides, and we go to Renaissance fairs, so therefore she goes with me, and she's able to sell the things that she's created. So she does that. Then the 14-year-old, he does the chickens. He does the chickens. And his reward is TV. So he watches anime. I don't know. All I know is that he watches that, and that's his reward. My kids, for their rewards, it's whatever they want to do. I know my triplets are really big on music. Now, the oldest boy, he doesn't want animals, so therefore he likes to work. He's like the hardest working boy you will ever meet. But if you give him earbuds and music, he'll do anything you want him to do. You give him a weed eater, he will weed eat for days. As long as he's got earbuds that are rechargeable, he will do anything. He will fence, he will build, he will do whatever. So we have a monthly task. We go over as a family our monthly task. So if tasks that need to be done, if they're done with their homeschool, they're like, okay, because they don't play video games, they don't do that kind of stuff, so they get bored. They're like, what can I do? Well, if they can go do it by themselves with music, like they're done. Like one kid does all the vegetables because she enjoys it. We've got one of those movable speakers, so she'll go put that in there, turn her music on, and just jam out. And she is weeding. She loves to weed. So, hey, go for it. You want to weed with your music? Got it. So we do things kind of to that nature on doing like the chores and rewards. Now, since we do produce 100% of our own meat, like their kind of reward is, where do y'all want to go out to eat for the month? So they'll get to choose. Most of the time it's hibachi because they like watching all of that. So that's another reward that we entice is, what do y'all want to do today? They're older now, so their trampoline parks are not, they're over that. They're over all of the things. We do entice, a yearly vacation, which it used to be like Great Wolf Lodge, but they've outgrown that because we've been there for so long. Now they don't want to go anywhere. They're very content with being at home. They're content with going and hanging out with the animals. That's just kind of their thing, so to say. So our reward and chores kind of goes very smoothly at the moment, even knowing that they're teenagers. I mean, I do get some back talk, but, it happens.
So with working with the kids and what they're into, well, first I should say that, like, I could not do this without Courtney at all, because having a supportive partner, because I have anxiety and it manifests itself as ADHD, and so like I'm just all over the place all the time. So having her and have my back, I mean, I just couldn't do it. But with the kids, I always tell them easy choices, hard life. Hard choices, easy life. So I tell them, I'm like, my job is to make your life as hard as possible, so that way it's easy when you get older. And they love hearing that. And so their chores are, you know, in the morning they let the chickens out, they feed them, they feed the cats, feed the dog, and then, you know, sometimes, and then it's like miscellaneous stuff, but that's where Courtney comes in. Like, she's great at delegating. I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. You just delegate and tell me what to do, because I don't know what's going on. Yeah, and I looked at her whenever you said the calendars. I was like, she loves her calendar. But yeah, and so like the reward thing, like, you know, I've got like an automatic withdrawal from my bank account into a custodial account for them. So they get $10 a week, and then I kind of show them, okay, this is how compounding interest works and things like that. So they can see like, oh yeah, if you just have money, it will make you money. It's kind of how wealth works and stuff like that. Let's see, what else? I've got some other stuff that's written down about this. Yeah, it's like the whole like forcing your kids to work and forcing them to be a part of this lifestyle. I mean, I was forced to raise beef cattle growing up, and I hated it. And I didn't want to have anything to do with farming. But then, you know, I read The Omnivore's Dilemma, and something in my brain clicked. And I was like, oh yeah, that's actually pretty cool. I could get into that lifestyle. And so, you know, they might not be farmers if they hate it, you know, now, but it could work either way. That's kind of how I look at it. Maybe they'll like it, maybe they won't, if we didn't make them do it. But I feel it's really important, like, the purpose that I feel and get from farming is, like, I don't want to cheat them from being able to feel that experience of having a purpose. And I think that's, like, you know, something that's really important. Let's see if there's anything else I got about that stuff. I think that's it on that topic. But oh yeah, like we kind of like look at like farming as like philosophy, and then you're kind of teaching them like philosophy throughout, like stoicism and like understanding like what is within my control, what is not within my control. And that's like one of the most powerful things we can learn as humans and adults in life. It's like, oh, I have no control over this, so I just need to stop worrying about it. And so that's kind of something on that subject.
Well, I will add to that, being kind of resourceful. So being that we only have one income for our household, like we don't have the funding to go and do certain things. So we're very, very on the, well, if it's broke, how do we fix it? Because we can't pay somebody to come and fix it. We can't, you know, go buy a new one. We can't do that. So we really, really, really encourage the fact on, okay, well, if that's broke, how can we fix it? Or what can we do so that we can't spend the money. So we have to figure it out. So we're consistently trying to do that. So we're constantly looking or scavenging for everything. Like someone's throwing out old barn wood, we're gonna go get it. Someone's throwing out something, we're gonna go get it. Like if you look at our house on Google Earth, it's like an actual puzzle piece of all of the scrap roofing people have thrown away, and you've been there, you've seen it. It looks like a puzzle piece. But we try to encourage these children, you know, okay, well, the cows stepped in their mineral container and it's broke. Okay, well, we can't go buy a new one. What can we do to fix that? So we're really encouraging the fact on thinking outside of that box and trying to make your brain work a little harder, because we can't just go out and buy that. Like, you have to figure that out. So that does help in that situation too, I think.
Maggie, I'd love to hear more from you, just the relationship you have with your mom, and if that, I don't know, growing up, if that was something you envisioned that would end up happening. And maybe I'm just thinking about like that sort of culturally we've lost the idea of living intergenerally, like with our whole families through our whole lives, is something that is not as common, but I think especially in farming, like I see the value of more people, more community. Yeah, just any thoughts you want to share about your specific situation?
Sure. Yeah. Can I just ask though, does anybody in the audience like farm with a parent or have parents on their farm? Of reavers. Oh, you're the mother of the, yeah. I saw you back there, Kayla. You got it. Okay, so, but maybe in the future you will have to care for elderly parent. Who knows? Yeah, it's very interesting because my mom retired from higher education. I farmed in Virginia. She never farmed, and she wanted to start the farm for my grandmother to be able to come, who had Alzheimer's and was living in like a home in Richmond, Kentucky, to come out and just like be on the farm, not live with us, but like take care of her. And she actually passed away before the farm got started, but that was the whole idea. And it's definitely like I'm coming to terms with the idea that this is a place that is, I started, I was in 30 when we started, so I was like gung-ho, all this stuff to do. My mom was still she was in her mid-60s, so still had quite a bit of energy, but I have definitely seen over the past 7 years, like I have to change my expectation of like how much she can work and still be okay, and then like change my expectation of what I have to do on the farm, because I'm now do like all the heavy lifting and all the like big physical things. Not that she doesn't work, she works very hard. She asked me last year if we could not work 10 hours a day, and I said, okay. But yeah, it's interesting because this was her plan for retirement. So this is like kind of something we never thought about doing, but she wanted to do it for her mom. And it's kind of that idea of like a good place to like slow down and have, so eventually like she can do what she can do, and then that'll continue to change as we get older. It'll be the challenge for me to figure out how to get more labor or somebody else in, because I have no kids or no plan for that afterwards. But yeah, I think it's a great place to obviously grow up on a farm, which I did not. I grew up in the woods, but not on a farm, and then retire on a farm as well. Yeah, and it's lovely. It's definitely a challenge with older parents and things slowing down, and like my energy, I feel like I'm getting old and tired, and she's getting old and tired. So like it's totally like an expectation change, and how we can even change our business model like to fit the needs. Like if she can do more processing or do all the financials or do that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the reminder. As you were saying that, I'm thinking about like having a farm as a space for people to come to, especially older people. I feel like doing the work of farming, like we forget sometimes because we're down in it, but like we have, older neighbors or like old timers who kind of drive by and like they love to see a garden. They love to see that, and like creating a space, where like our older relatives, even if we're not working for them, I really like, the reminder of that. That's very cool. I think I wanted to talk about, farming and parenthood specifically can be incredibly isolating at times, both in their own ways and also together. So what are the ways that you experience that, and what are the ways maybe you build community, whether it's through your family, through your kids, or like outside of your family? Like, is it something you think about? Is it something you deal with? Is it something you're working on? But yeah, just community isolation, if anybody has thoughts about that, I can pass or... Oh, there's
Okay, this one works. Who's up first? I can
Do you
speak
have no
about
thoughts?
isolation.
Okay.
So when I was a stay-at-home dad and farmer for 3 years, I was just at the house with the kids by myself for the most part throughout the day. And so I ended up taking COVID hit, and then I was just maxed out. And so I ended up taking a job working for the federal prison teaching horticulture, and so I was pretty desperate, to get. And then I was like, oh, I'm around people again, but I don't want to be around these people. Yeah, it was I had a pretty Pollyannish outlook on that. But yeah, it's just like when we're so busy and I struggle to find like work-life balance, it's like prioritizing our relationships. Sometimes people will reach out to me and they'll be like, hey, how's it going? I haven't talked to you in forever. I'm like, I haven't talked to this person in 5 years for a reason. Like, I don't get to spend the time I want to with the people that I actually care about. So learning to just like be selective about the people that I do want to spend time with. Fortunately, Courtney's family's near us, and so we get to spend a lot of time with them, for better or for worse. They can be pretty they can be pretty great for the most part. But it's great, that we have, the cousins for them to play with and things like that. So that's been really nice. But yeah, being spread so thin, it is hard to nurture the friendships that I would like to. Yeah.
I like being home with my children, and that's it. So, yes, I have lost a lot of friendships because of the way we live our life and the way that we choose to live our lives. And the fact that I homeschool, they don't really have that outside community. Now, my kids were in public school until the triplets were in 5th grade, and that was COVID. So then when they started getting the work sent home from all of that, I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, you're not learning anything. So then that's when I decided to start homeschooling. So since then, I mean, they do have access to Facebook, so they still have the friends that they had in school, but it's strictly I'm just watching them to see what they're doing. Even family members, I've lost a lot of family members due to the fact that they just don't understand why we do the things that we do. They don't understand why we chose homeschooling. And I'm not going to waste my breath dealing with that. So I have been told that I'm really good at cutting cords. So let it be that. So I can actively say that I'm very happy with my life. I could not have chosen a different path for me and my family. I like to believe that my children are happy. I mean, they tell me that they are, and then I can see them blossom. So it does give me a little hope that they are happy. So it's kind of one of those things that I am very happy. My husband's very happy being there. His family's in Mexico, so I don't have to worry about that with the in-laws. And I'm also like you as well, because my father lives on our property. He's 74, so I do care for him. However, he's our farm watch. That's pretty much his one and only job because he physically can't do anything else. But there is a lot of fighting and bickering, and I told you to do it this way, and so I can't cut that cord because he lives behind my house. So I can then shut the door and walk away. But so isolation is kind of okay for me, and it's okay for my husband, and we're very, very, very tight family. I mean, all holidays, we don't necessarily celebrate holidays, just because of the fact that we do holidays year round. Like, we're consistently together, we're consistently cooking from scratch, we're consistently, like, we don't have to celebrate Thanksgiving because we do it every day. We're just really happy with that type of lifestyle. So I don't need to have the 1,000 friends on Facebook. Like, I don't want that. And I had a discussion with Brenda just yesterday. I don't want that negativity in my life. I don't want it. So even trying to just post generally on Facebook to try to help promote your farm or your business, if you don't get negative comments, Facebook ain't gonna push it. Well, I have zero tolerance for that. I do not want an argument. I don't have time for that. I don't care. So isolation is good for me. I enjoy it, so.
Oh, yeah.
Move it down.
Do you have, want to talk about isolation?
I know that when we first started the farm, the year before we actually started it and we were planning it, we were also taking care of my grandmother. My mom and I were like tag teaming that. And I know that elder care can also be very isolating and like having an older parent because they need constant care. And the first year we started the farm, it was pretty much like we were out in the holler, just like not that far away from my parents, and we were always with them. And I don't know if you can imagine, and my poor partner was with his like in-laws all the time. So it was very intense and very overwhelming. And for me and our farm, like I have a part-time job at a brewery outside of the farm, and that is like, I have to have that. I don't think I could farm all the time. I need that like outside stimulation, doing something different, having a space that is not the farm and only the family, so.
Yeah, that's a great point and a question I was going to ask about, off-farm work, hobbies. Like, are those important to you? Have they kept you sane? I don't know if any of you want to share about them, but I just think it's a good point that, like, it's a lot, and there is like a loss of self, I think, either caring for an older parent or caring for a child that can come. So I think those things are important. I don't know if you guys want to share about that.
I'll share since I'm the isolated one. So for being that I am 24/7, 365 days a year with my children, I do need a break. So I have found little things that I am able to get a break from, particularly my children. It's like this, conferences. Anything that I can do, like with Kentucky State University, I do. I do keep in the books, on the calendar, wrote in pen, acupuncture. So I am very, very persistent with that. It might only be an hour a week, but that's my hour a week. So I do that. And then we do a lot of things again together. So since I have so many children, I am able to do like one at a time. So I'm like, okay, well, you have this today. What do you want to do after that? So that gives us the separation of, well, it's just me and that one kid. So that gives us our own kind of private time away from everybody else. So they're not so crammed in with the siblings all the time. So that does help a little.
Yeah. Do you want to talk?
I thought I had a thought about that, but maybe the hobbies thing.
Yeah, just off-farm.
Off-farm
Anything.
stuff. Yeah, I mean, I'm hypersocial. I mean, if any of y'all know me, you know that I'm just all the time. And so I have to be around people. I need it. So yeah, having a full-time job is great for me. That way I can step away from the farm. I can be around people. I love going to the market. Courtney gets on me all the time for talking to customers. She's like, you just need to stop talking to them. Like, they want to walk away. You got shit to do. And so just like leave them alone and just get back to work. So market's great. That was like my favorite thing when I was, doing it full time. But yeah, the hobbies thing is kind of like with the friendships that I haven't nurtured, or it's like, you just gotta start narrowing it down because we want a mountain bike, we want to rock climb, we want to like kayak, and then we're just spending a bunch of money on these things that we'll do one each year, and it's like, that's a lot of money. And so, yeah, the off-farm stuff is pretty important for sure.
I'm going to remind you guys about Slido. There's some really good questions on here that I'm going to start going through, but please still, if you have something that you wish we were talking more about or something you want us to talk about, you can still add it on there. And if you don't know how to use it, I'm sure an Oak person, Natalie's right there, so she can help you if there's a question you want to ask and you don't want to use Slido or don't know how. But I'm going to start going through these. The one that has been upvoted the most is thoughts on having a baby and starting a farm at the same time. Is this insane? So I can definitely talk on that, but I don't know if you guys want to talk on that about that at all.
Yes, it is very insane. Granted, my children were already, I guess, like 3 and 4. I guess it would be like 3 and 5 is what mine were. And again, yeah, I would not.
Valid, fair, valid. Yeah, we weren't starting a farm at the exact same time, but it was pretty close. And I think it is insane, but I think having a kid is just an insane thing. Like, that is crazy. And I feel like I've, heard this, like, if you're waiting to be ready, like, that's not a thing. I just don't think there is a point of being ready. I think it is wild. I think it is also, like, important to know, like, if you are a birthing person, to have expectations that, like, your life is going to change, like, that you will have to take a break, like, even in an ideal situation, like, that's just a reality. So, like, if you are starting a farm, like, and you have to be building in, like, a rest and a break if you are working, which isn't something we were great about doing. I think it's just being realistic. Like, obviously people have been doing that forever. It is possible to do, but having realistic expectations is also very helpful. And I can talk more about, like, birthing stuff maybe after this, if somebody wants to talk about that.
But I will remind you, I had triplets. So, just a reminder.
Yeah, she's allowed to say no, don't do it,
So
because,
that's why I say no.
Courtney and I were farming separately already when we got together, but we started farming together right when Charlie was born, and yeah, it was hard, but I mean, if you have a really supportive partner, I think you can do anything. So I think that's really important. Yeah.
okay, sorry, they're, like, moving around. Okay, how do you flow with letting go of preconceived notions and expectations of how you thought things would go?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's hard in the beginning. It was for me whenever we started the farm. I think I thought too much about, like, how I wasn't doing that well, or, like, this is what we need to get done this year, and this is what we need to get done the second year, and this is what we need to build the third year. And eventually it was like, okay, like, we don't have a ton of extra labor on the farm. Like, this is what mom can get done. This is what I can get done. It was mostly like, we're doing the best we can with what we have. And just, like, that's kind of our mantra. Like, at the end of the day, if we, like, sit down and have a beer, we're like, we did as much as we could, the best we could with what we had. And so I think getting into that idea, of course, I mean, that's hard to keep going when you're in the middle of a really rough farm season, obviously. But that's how we do it.
I will say that we do really well in chaos. So a prime example is 3 nights ago, our cow that we have been talking about that is pregnant and she's bagging up, we should probably be prepared for it. Well, 3 nights ago, she was ready and we were not. So in a matter of watching this calf be born, the whole crew of children and husband are trying to get an area ready to put the cow in because we do not have barns. We don't have barns. So we had to very quickly do that while myself and a friend were pulling a calf and getting it tried off as good as we could, but we were not prepared whatsoever. So our expectations, we still have the same dry erase board that's been there for 3 years. That milking stanchion has still not been built. So she just had a baby. Looks like that stanchion needs to come a little quicker. So we have 2 dairy cows, which one is phenomenal that we can milk in the field, but this heifer that just did it is not. So it's one of those things that it is what it is. Either you get it done, you don't get it done, and sometimes the universe says you're gonna get it done now. So we thrive in the chaos. So yeah, that's where I go.
Yeah, so I guess, preconceived notions about how things are. When I moved to Whitley County, I was farming for Ben and Bree at Rootbound, and so I thought that's how I knew how to farm. And we didn't have but like a little backyard that we end up just putting a bunch of high tunnels in, and so I had to pivot in like how I farmed. Courtney was already doing more biointensive farming, and so that was helpful. But I had this preconceived notion of this is how you got to farm, and so you know, get the tractor, you get the stuff, but it's been very similar with parenting. It's like, oh yeah, you know, when you're parenting, you're gonna do it this way, you're gonna do it that way. But then you got to pivot and just kind of figure it out, and you just hope that you can kind of, it's like jumping out of the plane and just with building the parachute on the way down type situation. And that's just kind of, we've been in a free fall for the past like 11 years. Haven't hit the ground yet.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like how this pertains. I can remember with really young children, I feel like you just have to take it day by day because every day was so different. And there'd be a day that I felt like super mom, you know, and the baby was with me the whole day, and I got every single thing done that I would have normally done. And then the next day, for whatever reason, some small thing, I would be inside all day. Like I wouldn't get to leave the house, and I would feel like such a failure, or just like, what am I doing? And it was just every day is new, and like you can't have a preconceived notion, I think is just the answer, and it's the same with farming. Like you have to just hold things loosely, like your ideas about how it will go, and just be ready to try again. And having a supportive system around you, a partner who's able to do that with you, is super helpful. Let's see. How do you balance your personal relationship with your spouse or partner who is also your business partner? So I don't know, it's a little different for all of us. Yeah, but anyone want to talk about their partner, spouse?
So my spouse, we're coming on 19 years of marriage, and he just puts up with my ADHD. So he knows that I'm very just, let's do everything and let's do it all now. He's used to that, so he puts up with a lot. And I remember from the women panel of them talking about pulling the chainsaws and the pulling of all. His main job on our farm is to fix everything that I break, because I break everything. I have broken so many of the pull starters on every tiller, every weed eater. Like that's his job, is to fix things that I break. So as for us, we are not really good at planning it, but we do try to have like a date night once a month. We try. It doesn't always happen. Life happens. However, we do try to do something together where it's just the two of us, whether it's just watching a movie in the bedroom, or if it's just me and him going to check fields. We do try to get that still, it's where it's just me and him, and just kids go away. That's kind of our thing. That's just what happens. But he might beg to differ. It's just all he does is fix the stuff that I break. But I'm glad he's not here.
We've developed, I've developed a pretty good division of labor. I'm numbers. I love numbers. Doing the taxes, figuring out those types of things. Lifting heavy objects. I really like doing that. It's my wheelhouse. But there's certain things that we just don't do well together, like pulling row cover. Like, no, your side's upside down. No, your side's upside down. So that's where the kids come into play. Hey, kids, go pull that row cover for us. And they do a great job of it. They fight less than we do. But yeah, it's just division labor. Like she'll trellis the tomatoes. I'll do a lot of the harvesting of the tomatoes. It's nice to be able to sometimes do things together, talk and do that. What's that? Oh yeah, I find that the most talking we get done is like when one of us is on the road and they'll call the other person when we're not with each other. That's like when we do our talking, or when we're on our way to market in Knoxville. That's like when we'll have some of our best conversations. I think I covered it. Yeah.
Here's a good one for you, Maggie. Do you have any advice for supporting an aging parent in their gardening or farm management remotely? So maybe somebody who isn't with their aging parent.
Yeah, remote, that's hard. I mean, I definitely think that encouraging, because I know that it's hard for like people who are used to being able to do things to like get older and then not being able to do as much as they could, right? Like that change is really hard for some people. Like I've done this in my whole life, I should still be able to do this. So I think encouraging them to like, I don't know, find unique ways that they can stay out in the field longer. Like my mom has this thing she calls a scoot and doot, which is just like a little wagon she sits on and like scoots down our beds in weeds. So she doesn't like have to stand or get up and down a lot, that kind of thing. And I think really encouraging them to like, maybe find unique ways that they can still do what they want to do and it not be so physically hard, but like letting them know that like just because they can't do as much work as they used to be able to, it doesn't mean it's not as meaningful or it's not as like good for them. Like that this is just a cycle of life, right? You're gonna slow down and maybe you like change the way you view yourself in your farm journey, I think is a good way to do it remotely. Or maybe do some research on like fun little unique ideas that would make it easier on them, like a scoot and do, like send them that or something like that, I think. Yeah, it is scoot and do. No, that's my mom's name.
I tell my mom cardboard, lots of cardboard, because my mom's had both of her knees replaced, and she's a huge gardener. She loves it. My father passed away this month, and so I'm trying to get her to maybe spend more time with us farming, and that way she doesn't have to take on these huge projects. You can still do the things that you love with gardening, or maybe like, hey, just let me put a cover crop down this fall or this spring and help in that way. So, because she's 2 hours from us, so maybe now she'll have more time, now that she's not taking care of my dad, to maybe come out and participate in the farm more that way.
So do your children participate in selling farm products or their own creative ideas, and where do they sell it? I know you've got cool stuff going on with your kiddos.
My children do a lot when it comes to selling things that they make. In turns, I started a children's business fair because my children do that. So if anyone has children here that want to do a children's business fair, it's going to be held here April 18th. So I need you to sign up. So there's some big money involved if you can do it. So, but no. You can get a whole lot more money than that. So you talk to me after this. So like I said earlier, so my daughter that got the goats from that essay contest, we specifically got the breed of goat, which was Spanish goats, just because we look at the whole picture. So we look at the pelt, we look at the horns, we look at the skull. So we utilize everything. So that has gotten into her creativeness with her arts and crafts. So she is able to craft, and she makes things with the bones, and she makes things that just makes her think outside of the box. So doing that has opened the door where we go to Renaissance fairs. So that's where that comes in. So not only can she take her arts and crafts, but she can also take her goats for people to see, because people have such a disconnect with the animals and livestock and your own food. I mean, we had people that would come like, is this a real skull? Yes, it is. So let me tell you about it. So that has gotten her to do that. Again, with the other daughter, that she's the baker, that has opened the doors where she actually goes and works for an artisan bread here in town. So she's learning from the top-notch, like, this is exactly what she wants to do. So she has already started her whole idea of what she wants. She wants to have a bakery, she wants it to have a library, and she wants to have tables for people to come and eat her food and read books. So we're able to push her with that. So therefore, she started her own business as baking. So she's baking on her own. She has her own permit where she does it out of our house with our home-based processing. So she's able to do that. The youngest one, he's just, he's kind of does what he wants when he wants to do it. So as for making, so he's the chicken guy. So whenever he whenever he goes and collects eggs and things to that kind of nature, we do give him a cut of the money. He's doing the work. He's the one that's feeding them. He's the one that's collecting eggs. So he does get a cut of the work. But like the entrepreneur things that we encourage, He thinks of things, well, what do I want to buy? So then he will think outside of the box. Well, I will buy a custom trail mix with hot chips. That's what he does. So that gives him other ideas of thinking outside of the box. How can I make money? What can I do? And then the oldest one wants nothing to do with the animals. So he's the one that is forced to think of what can I do to make money. So in that, he's learned to build benches out of scrap wood. So he, in turn, builds benches. He sells those. Anything that's building with wood. So he makes those the bumblebee wood, or the wood bee traps with mason jars. He does that. So we do have to force him to think outside of the box as well. But as for them doing that kind of thing, it's really, really, really opened their eyes to, I can pretty much do anything I want to do. So if I do this and it doesn't work, who cares? Let me think of something else. So that's really worked out really well for our family. And another reason that I ended up hosting the Children's Business Fair, because not only that, like, I'm seeing all of these children with these amazing ideas and knowing that we're not technically screwed with the way society's going right now, but that's our future. Like, these kids are the future. And if you don't encourage the thinking outside of the box and encouraging them, like, you don't have to fall in line. You don't have to do that. Like, be your own individual person. Like, you don't have to do what your parents want to do, which my 16-year-old is proving that, because he does not want to be a farmer. He does not want any animal whatsoever. But you can go and do that. So we're really, really big at encouraging the entrepreneur and everyone, and giving the kids the space to do so, where they can literally be their own boss for the day. It will move mountains. It's so surprising.
Yeah, kind of what you're saying about society and how it's going, it kind of makes me think about, like, like the world is going towards screens, and there for a little bit we were like, oh, well, if our kids don't interact with screens as much, then maybe they'll be behind. There's going to be plenty of kids that know how to do all that stuff. Our kids are going to have superpowers because they can actually interact with other human beings. So our kids help run the market. Hans, you love running that cash register, don't you, bud? Charlie, you like fussing with the table, don't you? Yeah. So they interact at the farmers market. They've got jobs. They're doing things, and so they're heavily involved with the farmers market, and they collect the eggs, and so that's part of it. So there's somewhat of a disconnect because Courtney kind of handles the sale of that, but they are involved, and they're still a little young, and we're hoping to eventually increase it more as they get older.
There's a great question on here that I don't know if we can answer, but I'm still going to ask it because maybe somebody else could answer it. We can sort of answer it. How have you navigated your home also being a place of business with kids on site? And then also, what accommodations have you made for employees that are also working parents? So I know we're all kind of small scale. I don't know if you all have employees. But Adam, did you ask that? Is that this Adam? A different Adam? It says Adam. I would love to pass the mic to people who have bigger farms and have employees, because I think that that's really interesting. Yeah.
My kids have all empty nested at this point, but while we were, and I've been doing this 13 years, so while we were doing it at home, and I homeschooled as well, and so my kids were there 24/7, and still do. My kitchen table is my office, and so that is where my employees sit for lunch. That's where we sit to do our morning meetings, our end-of-day meetings, and my family is in and out of it, and always were, and I encourage them to take part in that. Those end of day, they, like your children, they were out there usually helping and figuring out what things needed to be done. And so, yeah, we just incorporated employees into the family, and I don't know how else to do it when your kitchen table is the office.
So I can say, we have been a Farm Bureau certified roadside market for years now, where we literally sell direct to consumer on our front porch. And doing that, it's kind of a hit or miss because we're kind of out in the middle of nowhere, but at the same time, you need to call before you come, because I'm not going to be putting the vegetables out all day, every day, and then nobody show up. So at the same side, when we do have people show up and they're like, oh, well, do you have any green tomatoes? Well, as a matter of fact, I do. Let me send a child and go pick. How much do you want? So that has worked out. So my employees, I can just, hey, go get it. So managing it that way has really helped getting the kids more involved. Well, if you go and pick the vegetables, I'll give you part of the money, whatever they buy. So we've had people that come and they want the smallest okra known to man. Well, we can go get that. So, and a lot of the older folks that come out, they thoroughly enjoy that, knowing that they're getting that green tomato literally just broke off the vine right then and there. So that has really worked for us. And again, my office is our kitchen table, but anyone that has been to my house, you know it's a tiny house and there's a lot of traffic, so it's a lot of chaos. But again, we thrive in the chaos. But having children involved in that really works for us. So even if we have, because we also do farm tours, so when people come out for a tour, my kids can come with us and they start, and people can even ask our kids things like, well, why do you do that? Well, our kids will step in and they'll answer. So that really helps. So yeah, it works out with us having the employees as our children, because even when people, well, do you have any rabbit manure for compost? Why, yes, we do. Let's go get a bag, and kid, go get a bag full of manure. So having that kind of accessibility to people like that, so I don't have to consistently be like, well, I need to package these and try to sell. So we're to the point on our farm where we're just living it day by day. And if someone shows up on our door, do you have this? Yes, we do, or no, we don't. And we changed our farm motto this year that we are raising for us. And if you show up at our house and we have it, we're more than glad to help you with that, sell it to you, do whatever. But we are strictly raising for us. And if it works out for you, it works out for you. I mean, it is what it is.
The second part of that question, are there any larger scale farms here who would want to talk about, because I think this is an interesting point, because having your place of business like in this setting, I think makes so much sense. But if you are a larger scale farm, like there are safety concerns, there are like other things to think about. And I think it's valid to think about how we separate that in a different way. Or if you have employees that you're working with that are parents, how you handle that. There might not be anybody who wants to share, but if there's anybody who wants to share, I just think that's an interesting point that I wish we had more diversity to talk about. It's just an interesting concept.
I will say, having our actual business on our front door, we have a whole lot more negative than we do positive. So again, I homeschool, I do have teenagers. It's my home. Like, this is my home. So we've had many people come, they don't know that it's a house. Like, they'll just open our door and walk in our house. That's a big, big red flag for us. So now every day, doors are locked, cameras are everywhere. So if someone pulls on our driveway, everyone in that house is alert so that we know. We were accepting SNAP benefits, not to downgrade that, but as a very small farm, there's certain people that I don't want on my property. Not to be that person, but there are some people that do get those benefits, and yes, they need those benefits, that helps them, but at the same time, it's almost kind of like I don't want those type of people at my home. Like farmers market, yes, here you go. And that is something else that we chose with our farm. I do not like farmers markets. I do not like them at all. I did do those for 3 years, and that is not for me. And I'm the person that when they come to my front porch and they say, oh, wow, you're charging how much for a tomato? Go to Kroger. I'm sorry. But I know what I've got invested in my time. That tomato is going to taste delicious when you don't buy it. So, but again, that's how I run my farm. That's not how everyone runs their farm. But that's just what we've had experience in, and that's just the way that we do things. So just knowing that if it is on your farm and it's on your front porch and you do have a family there and you do have children, definitely keep that in mind, because you are inviting the public in. So we've also had people that walk down our driveway, and next thing you know, we're like, who is that in our field? So we had to put up signs, do not enter, you are not allowed to come here without a Lopez staff. Like, it's been really difficult, especially if you're doing it at home with your family and your business is at your front porch. So it has been a struggle with that, so.
I was going to try to address it. Apparently, Adam did not ask this question, so. I mean, I think we have a pack shed now that's like more of the seat of our farm business than our house was, but we did have a phase where our house was the seat of the business. And so I think one thing is there are some things that the kids can be involved in and some things they can't. And so just trying to have some boundaries around like what's going to be safe for them to be involved in. So most of the things at the pack house they can be involved in, but also like tools need to be put away, and trying to be sure that. But we also have a daughter who like breaks all boundaries no matter what boundary you set. And so we have had times of being in the pack shed where she runs into the pack shed with a machete, and we're like, nope, we're going to go put that away now. So I think that setting good boundaries, also knowing that they're going to be crossed, and so just trying to be really vigilant about, paying attention to what they're doing. And then we have had employees who have had kids, but we also currently have an employee with a special needs dog. And so I also just think that like anytime that you have employees, you just have to understand like everybody has their own unique situation and their own things that they need to work around. And so the basis of that is having a relationship with someone. And so trying to just walk with that relationship of like, yes, you need to take care of the things that are important in your life, and this is what we need, and how do we work together to get both of those needs met? Do you want to add anything?
This goes till 11:45, correct? Okay, so there are so many really good questions that we don't have time for. I will say it myself, and I don't know about other people, but if there's something you wanted to ask us, I'm sure you can find us after this is over to talk about it, if it's more specific or more personal that maybe we don't want to share up here. But I really appreciate you all being here and spending the time with us. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you all. And before you go, please fill out those orange surveys and just leave them in your chair or on the table before you go. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, if anybody wants to come and support that children's business fair, yeah. So you don't have to have a children to enter, but you can still come and shop. Last year, we had 35 children businesses that were selling almost anything you could imagine. We had a massive turnout last year. These children, it's competition, so they can win some big prize money, and it's from ages 6 to 18. So please come shop, send your children. There's also a flyer at the KSU table out there if you want to see it, or you can find me and I will give you one.